What's going on with this? This is not working, is it?
We good?
No, I'm just wondering. I'm just trying to get it to work. I've done something wrong.
We're gonna have to. When you was asking me to put the news up, I was like, there ain't that much news. We could probably do a Zoom today.
Well, let's stay with this. We're all here now.
Yeah. No. I was like, there ain't that much news. We could probably do a Zoom.
Well, we'll have to make.
All right, guys, we're live now.
All right.
Right, guys, we're live now. Welcome to the show, everyone. How are you, Tom?
I'm doing well, Nathan, and you and Spencer. How are you two doing?
I'm good. How are you, Spencer?
Doing great.
Right, go straight on with it. I'm just going to answer this call, and you get on straight with it.
You're talking about who's getting in the trainer again? You're talking about AJ? You're talking about AJ getting a new trainer, right?
I thought we discussed that last time.
I don't think we did, actually. He's going with Robert Garcia, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess we could start with that one.
Well, anyway, I mean, we'll see. Robert Garcia likes his fighters to be more aggressive, but smart. Maybe he'll get him into the mindset where he'd have to be more aggressive with Usyk to win this time.
Yeah, the only thing that I kind of worry about with guys with new trainers is like, you got to get them. Not everybody's going to respond like Kovalev did with Buddy McGirt.
Or Tyson Fury,
Or Tyson Fury did with Sugar Hill. Right. So, not everybody's going to respond the same way immediately. I think AJ is a great student. Like, he listens to what his trainers tell him, and he tries to execute it. I think he becomes robotic in trying to do that, and it's not like something natural for him.
Because he was following it too much. You remember when he lost the title to what's his name? Ruiz. Yeah, he was saying, what's happening to me? It's like his thought process gets fixed on exactly what they tell him to do, but that thing doesn't kick in where he goes, okay, I got to change gears here, and this is not working, right? He doesn't.
Right, because he's a good student. He's not a natural fighter.
Yeah, exactly. He's not like a Lennox Lewis, who when it came down to fighting, he would just turn that switch.
Yeah, he knows what to do. Okay, this guy's doing this. I know what to do when he does that.
Right. Like Ali was great at that, and Floyd was great at that. They get into the fight and they switch gears. Hopkins was great at that.
Yeah, they got that ability to adjust to who they fighting.
That's right.
And neutralize whatever they're doing.
That's correct. We'll see. We'll see if Garcia could get him into the right mindset to fight him, because he has to push him and rough him up and push him back and crowd him, and all that.
That's what he got. He got to be aggressive. I was saying that in the first fight. He can't try to outbox Usyk because Usyk has been boxing longer than him.
Oh, yeah.
It's more natural for Usyk to outbox him. He has to go in there and throw punches and throw them everywhere. Hit his shoulders, hit his arms, hit his forearms, hit his side, hit his, like everywhere. Even if he covers up, throw it with strength so he won't keep wanting to throw them arms up to block them.
Yeah, that's right. He's got to do like Canelo and Marciano did.
Exactly. Just keep going.
Yeah,
but
we'll see if Garcia will get him into the right mindset. We'll see.
Yeah. Again, I think he's a good student, and if Garcia has enough time with him, he can change the way he fights. However, going up against Usyk in his first fight with Garcia might be a tall ask to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it takes time to change, and Tyson Fury was able to do it because he spent all that time in the gym.
And Tyson Fury is a natural fighter.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, okay, you want me to do that? Okay, I got that. Like, right. So it's not nothing for him to transition from being like a guy on the back foot to somebody on the front foot.
That's right.
So we're talking about Anthony Joshua.
Yes, and his new trainer, isn't what you said?
Yeah, but there's meant to be two guys in charge. Hatman did a video where there's two guys who are equal-footed. But for me, he shouldn't have had this immediate rematch. All he had to do was have a couple more fights, or 2 more fights to get used to his new trainer. Do what Lennox Lewis did. stop with all the rushing back. You know, he could have worked on some more stuff.
Well, he's had a lot of time to work, you know. He should have been in the gym working on it 2 weeks after the fight.
But he's not focused. I don't believe he thinks he can win this. I think he has a mental problem going into this fight, seriously.
You know, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Tom.
No, I think mentality in a fight is everything. I mean, you could be greatly conditioned and be able to do it, but if your mindset is not right and you don't know when to flip the switch or change your style, that's when you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, hopefully he switched up when he went and rematched Ruiz. He totally looked different than the first fight. He had a totally different game plan, so maybe he won't be looking the same against Usyk. Maybe he'll try something different. Maybe Robbie Garcia will tell him to do what we suggested, like crowd him. Don't give him any space. You're the bigger guy. Just keep him keep him in front of you and just keep pounding or keep throwing punches.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I think he's still a little gun shy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, since the Ruiz fight.
Yeah, and it's crazy because if he was to really sit down and just throw punches at Usyk, he was connecting on Usyk a few times that if he was to really have sat down and threw the punches instead of trying to be a boxer, that those punches could have been more powerful.
Exactly, and that's what he needs to do. Case closed.
Mm-hmm.
Right, let's move on to other news.
Well, who was the first one? Dubois?
No. The first one is the fight this weekend. Joe Smith versus
Oh yeah. Thank you.
I think the last week's fight at the end.
Okay, great. So let's talk about that. I mean, they're both big guys.
Well, this is the weigh-in. We'll start with the weigh-in first. Basically, Berbatiev weighed in at 175 on the dot, and Smith was 174.6 in this.
Okay, so we got to fight.
Yeah, well, that, and they're going to rehydrate to about 188, 190.
Yeah, they're going to be cruiserweights when they go back in there.
I know. I mean, this one it's going to be a good fight. I think Beterbiev is going to take it in about the 7th round or 8th round. I think he's going to take him out.
I think so too.
But Joe, Joe put up a good fight. I mean, he'll go out on his shield.
Yeah, Joe, he definitely isn't scared to go up against the contenders.
Well, he's got no choice. I mean,
or the champs now. But yeah, because Joe Smith, he got a lot of names on his resume in the light heavyweight division. I didn't even realize he had fought that many people since he fought Hopkins.
Yeah, well, he really only started after Hopkins really training more and focusing more.
Yeah, because it was a fluke that he beat. I think it was Fonfara he beat.
No, it wasn't a fluke. He knocked him out with a good punch. I remember seeing it.
Well, what I mean by fluke, Fonfara was supposed to be the favorite in that fight.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Smith was supposed to just be an opponent, and Joe Smith wound up beating Fonfara. It wasn't not like it was a lucky punch or something. He really beat him, but it was just that it going into the fight, I think Fonfara had lost a fight a couple of fights before, so it was like his road back or something like that. Yeah. So he had lost that. And then
Superman knocked him out twice.
We have to remember, Smith is 32 years of age. He's lost 4 or 5 fights. Beterbiev is 38. I believe that even if Smith does lose this fight, which I believe he will come back and improve fight. Each loss, he's come back and improved. He could go on, for another 3 years. He's just coming into his peak, I believe,
Yeah, win or lose, I don't think this is it for Joe Smith unless he gets totally demolished. But I don't think this is it for Joe Smith, win or lose. I just think, I'm hoping that Beterbiev beats Smith so that we could get an undisputed light heavyweight champ in a fight that we haven't seen before. We've seen Bivol versus Smith already. So
I think Smith is tougher. He's tougher than Beterbiev, but Beterbiev has the more boxing skills. And that will be the factor in the fight, I believe.
I don't know if he's tougher. They're both really tough. I mean, you've seen Beterbiev.
I've seen Beterbiev get knocked down by Callum Johnson. That was a brutal knockdown. he got back up and he got on with it like it was nothing.
Yeah, and his last fight, he had a bad cut and he just turned it on, you know?
Yeah, against Marcus Brown, right?
Yeah, Marcus Brown did.
So I'm going to have to go for a late stoppage for Beterbiev, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's like Tom said, around 7 and 8. But Beterbiev don't always start fast, so that's Joe Smith's best chance to get to him is early.
And Joe has a puncher's chance. He has a puncher's chance.
Yeah, he got a hard right. And he knows how to throw it well. So it's not like he throws it out of positions. He ain't a Wilder throwing his right punch.
Even though Smith has improved, we know that Joe Smith can be outboxed, and Beterbiev is the man to do that. He'll just outbox him for the whole fight if he has to.
Okay.
Well, one thing you guys both got to remember: they both have a strong killer instinct, and that'll make a good fight.
I will say this though. Joe Smith should not be the champ, in my opinion, because that guy Maxim beat him. Blasov beat him, in my opinion.
That was closer. It should have gone that way, but it was close.
It was a close enough fight that you can't be like, oh, it's a straight up robbery. But if I was the judge, I think Maxim did more. He was more he had more movement. He did more he was doing. Joe Smith was chasing him, and Maxim was kind of dictating the pace of the fight, in my opinion.
There you go.
Joe Smith was catching him good with some good shots, but it was just
another way to sum this fight up is we know that Joe Smith has more animalistic instincts than Beterbiev. If he smells a finish, he'll go for it. Whereas Beterbiev, if he knows there's a chance, he'll go for it, but he'll box. I don't think he has a good boxing brain, Smith. He's never had a great boxing brain. He's just like an animal, you know.
Beterbiev.
Yeah. No, sorry, I meant
Joe Smith.
Smith is like an animal. He doesn't really have the boxing brain that Beterbiev has.
Right. No, I got you. Beterbiev is like a career boxer, and Joe Smith is somebody that was boxing as a hobby, and then he got lucky, got good wins, and now he's taking it serious. So he's taking the art serious much later than Beterbiev did.
Yeah, but I do believe that because he's only 32, he will get better, but just not on this occasion.
He'll always be a contender in that division as long as he wants to make some money. You know,
I'm sure even if he loses once Beterbiev or whoever gets too old or moves up, he will claim another belt in a couple of years anyway. You know.
Okay, well, you want to move on to Nathan Gorman?
Yeah. I had looked at that fight real quick, the clip that you showed.
That was the whole fight.
Yeah, I see. It was a quick fight.
This was for the IBF international belt. And he will now be ranked in the top 50 in the IBF because those minor belts put you in that position.
Right. But I mean, that's how boxing should do it anyway. Yeah. You should win one of them other little lesser titles to get a ranking.
You know, he's terrible, this guy.
Well, but Gorman is strong, though. He's a strong puncher.
Yeah, I mean, this was a comeback fight. You know?
Would it be better at cruiserweight or the Bridgerweight?
No, he's too big.
Nah, that was a regular heavyweight, right?
Yeah, he's 6'4". I mean, he's 6'4".
Well, you know, if he trains, and the only guy who beat him was what's his name?
Dubois.
Dubois, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, there's no reason why he can't climb the ranks and be in some good fights.
He's only 25. He's only 25. You know.
Yeah, you know who I wouldn't mind seeing him fight? Sergey Kuzmin.
No, he's not ready for that. No.
You don't think Gorman is ready for Kuzmin?
No, not at all. They're talking about him fighting Fabio Wardley next for the English heavyweight title. I look at him as just above Dave Allen and guys like Cash Ali. You know, a little bit above them.
Didn't he beat them guys?
No, he hasn't fought any of them guys yet. But he's beaten guys on their level, if not a little bit better. I think he's just above English British level, and just below European, somewhere in the middle.
Okay, so you think he should try to go for some Commonwealth title or something?
He's already won the Commonwealth, so get towards European level. That should be the goal. But I don't think he's going to go any further than European level, personally.
Okay.
Well, let's see how it pans out with him. I think he'll be exciting. He's very strong, and he's got a good punch. So if he trains,
he beat David Price, right? He beat David Price. That's who he beat,
no,
right?
he didn't fight David Price. Never.
No, I don't think he fought him. No.
Who did I see?
Dave Allen fought David Price.
Yeah, but I thought I seen who the hell that? Because I thought I looked at his damn record and I was like, Gorman only lost to Dubois, but then I thought I seen name.
Let me tell you, the biggest name on his record. He's got a couple of comments. The two biggest names on his record is
Dubois.
Is Pavel Sauer. Not Pavel Sauer.
Who?
His biggest record. No, I'm looking at the wrong record. Let me
Pavel Sauer, he TKO'd, and he only lost
Richard
to
Latte, and there's a big name on his
Johnson.
record. Razvan Johnson and Kevin Johnson are the three biggest names, and Kamil Solowski, the four biggest names on his record.
So who the hell was? I might have been looking at Sergey Kuzman's damn thing. Like, who the hell was I looking at that seen David Price on their damn record? I think it was Kuzman, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to David Price right now, and we'll see what it is. Who do you think beat him? Who do you think beat him?
Either Kuzman or
beat Nathan Gorman.
Okay, he's up for. He's going to fight Chisora next. So he beat David Allen. Kuzman he defeated. No, he lost to Kuzman.
Right. Okay. Kuzman beat David Price. I knew it was. I knew it. Like when I looked at the thing, I was like, I think Kuzman and Gorman fight out. And I looked at Kuzman's record. I got it confused with Gorman's because I was like, I know he beat a David. I know he beat either Price or Allen.
I do believe that he's the sort of guy that in 2 or 3 years' time may get to sort of like, that sort of level that, like a Danny Williams, or if not a bit better than that, sort of Woodley Harrison kind of level.
Okay.
Well, he's never been able to get up. He's gotten stopped in most of his big fights. Like Tony Thompson knocked him out twice.
He's long retired now. He's retired now.
Yeah, Tepper KO'd him. Christian Hammer KO'd him, who fought recently.
Hard puncher with a glass jaw.
Yeah, there you go.
Did you guys hear the latest news? Or this one before we go on to the next bit. Joe Joyce's next opponent on July the 5th is Christian Hammer.
I didn't put that up. I thought I put that up. Okay.
No, you didn't, but so we can talk about it now.
All right. Yeah, Joe Joyce versus Christian Hammer. A lot of people are getting on him because Joe Joyce supposed to be fighting Joseph Parker?
Yeah, but Parker went a different way. I think it was Parker.
Yeah, he went and signed with Boxing Sky Sports. So that was
what's them in boxing on Sky.
All right. Everybody's going to try to avoid Joe Joyce. Let's face it. Everybody's going to try to avoid him. He's too much of a threat.
Yeah.
And
he's an aging heavyweight with only a few years left to get a title shot. But we'll come to that later. Anyway, the next thing was the Michael Hunter. Have we is that on the list?
No, the next on the list is Barrera, and Hatton exhibition was delayed till November 12th. I think it's a weight issue.
It's Hatton and Barrera. The Hatton Barrera
is just too fat.
Well, their blood pressures is too high. They can't go in the fight, so they got.
They'll explode.
So
he couldn't get medically cleared to fight soon. So
Ricky Hatton looks great though. He looks in good shape.
Yeah, he dropped a lot of weight. They said
about 6 stone or 6, 7 stone.
That's what is that? What's a stone? 14 pounds.
14 pounds. Yeah.
Rapid weight loss isn't healthy for a fighter. You got to get.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It's yeah. I mean, it's.
I mean, you could get brain damage from rapid weight loss.
You can because you dehydrate your body so much, and that's kind of how you get messed up in the ring. It's not so much the hardness of the punches; it's the fact you don't have a lot of water there to like kind of cushion the blows.
Exactly. So that's why.
Anyway,
yes, sir.
For me, I don't want to see Ricky Hatton in any ring. I believe when he came back 10 years ago against Shinchenko, he should have never come back ever. I just don't. I want him to stay in shape, good shape like he is, but I don't think he should be anywhere near a ring.
Well, considering who he's fighting, it's really not that. We ain't really worried. He's not fighting one of the young lions or something like that. He's fighting somebody past his best as well.
Don't get me wrong. He could still make a comeback and beat the toilet paper munchers that his son's fighting. Could easily beat those guys. That kind of level. Those terrible people.
Especially that last gift his son got. Especially that last gift his son got. He could definitely beat that guy.
But where do they find these Eastern Europeans off the street of Sarajevo? God knows.
They go on BoxRec and look at number 17 in a country that don't really fight. They like.
I swear they just go for a box. Oh yeah, we'll choose Castastanulas, Mr. Because he sounds like he comes from somewhere, and we'll fake his record.
Some of these guys are in the gym and they're working out, and then they need an opponent, so they get them. They say, hey, we'll give you $3,000 to fight this guy, and they're going to say yeah. And then if it gets too tough, they're going to lay down and not get up.
Why not? I mean, I don't blame them. But anyway, so we'll move on to the next thing.
That's Marius Briedis, yeah.
Marius Briedis is fighting Jai. I can't pronounce his name.
Yeah, it was postponed. It's moving forward to July. Isn't this the third postponement?
Yeah, man. They need to have this damn fight and hurry up.
Yeah. What were the other two postponed for?
Wasn't one? I thought one was. Didn't one of them get COVID or some shit?
Yeah, I think there was one, but then there was something else. I don't remember. But anyway, I like Marius Briedis. I think Usyk beat him on decision, but he's a solid cruiserweight.
Yeah. Look at the record of this guy he's fighting.
He's probably the best guy at cruiserweight at the moment. Maybe.
I think so.
His opponent, this guy, whatever his name is, Islander guy. His record has no recognisable names.
They're names
all Pan-Pacific bums.
Well, Briedis should win that. When they fight, Briedis should win that. Will he fight one of the other champs?
I'm just going to check his ranking as well, this guy. His last couple of wins was against a guy who had 7 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws. Then before a guy who had 13 wins, 1 loss and 2 draws. And his biggest win is Mark Flanagan. So that's the only decent name on his record.
Yeah, well, we know what to expect.
Yeah, Briedis by murder.
Yeah.
Let me look at where he is in the biased by IBF ranking. Let's have a look.
Well, what are you going to do? What can we say? They got to have a fight. So they got to put a fight up. Marius has got to stay busy. So it's not his fault who he's working with here.
Yeah, too bad. They should do another. They had 2 in that division, but they should do another one, a World Boxing Super Series.
I love them too. I love the Super Series. We get to see some really good stuff in Super Series.
Yeah. And I think I love the tournament style. Like I love that tournament format.
Yeah, I mean that's how we got Andre Ward from that, right? And the British going up to junior welterweight who had all the belts.
Josh Taylor.
I get him and Josh Kelly.
Anui came on the scene. I mean, he was a little bit known before that, but he really showed himself in their World Boxing Super Series division.
Right.
Because that fight between him and Donaire was like a fight of the year thing.
It was. The first one was for sure.
Yeah. Not that second one.
No, what are you gonna do?
But
the IBF do rankings 2 months behind or something.
The IBF?
Yeah. Because that Joe Opetier guy's ranked number 4, looking at April's ranking.
Okay.
So that must be right. Right, let me
They
see
didn't
what
update that thing for May yet? That's
No, I
odd.
don't believe so. No. Let me have a look.
All right. Do you want to talk about Francis Ngannou
Yeah.
and Fury? I don't think that's going to happen. Unless there's a lot of money. You know what I mean?
That's what they try. I think they keep talking it up so that it could bring some interest, more interest to get that money up. I think they'll do it. I mean, Fury went and did WWE, so I don't see him not fighting an MMA guy, especially if it's boxing rules with MMA gloves. That's something that Fury might like. You're like, you know what? Let's do this. It's
Well,
like that bare knuckle boxing that I do in the backyard anyway.
there was some interview, I think it was yesterday, where Tyson Fury said he would come back if it was for the right price.
Well, I heard him say that for the AJ or Usyk fights. Like he would come back to fight Usyk if it's the right price. Like it was some crazy. I think he said something like 500 million or some stupidness, or 200 million. Like he said some ridiculous price, and I'm like, you might get that for AJ if AJ win, but you might not get that for Usyk.
That's true. That's true. No, that was the fight everybody wanted to see, but they kept pushing it off and messing with it, But he also he had the commitment to fight Deontay Wilder. So, I mean, we made out as the fans, right?
Yeah, we definitely made out because that third fight was a good one.
Oh yeah. Well, they were all good.
Well, the third one was the one that you was like, Fury's winning this fight, but Wilder definitely got a chance.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 2 down, right? That
Yeah,
second
because he got dropped and then he dropped him twice. He's like, oh, shit. It was 5 knockdowns in that fight.
Yeah, and he caught him behind the ear on that second knockdown. I was surprised he got up.
Mm-hmm.
That took a lot of guts and a lot of stones, man.
Yeah, man. But yeah, Fury, I could see him fighting him on some modified stuff, especially if it's gonna be on a pay-per-view in the States. Yeah, I could see him do that.
Wow. Well, who knows? I think he really wants to retire, though.
Or I mean, I don't think he made enough money in these last 2 years that he's set for life. So yeah, I think he might want to retire, but for a novelty fight, I think he might return for something like that, especially if it's going to give him $100 extra million.
Oh yeah, I'll get in the ring with him for that.
Yeah, because I think that if him fighting it, how do you pronounce his name? In Ngannou, him fighting him is more money than him fighting Usyk.
Yeah, that's right.
It would be the easiest 10 million he'll ever make. I think this MMA people trying to box with elite fighters is a bad move.
Well, it could be. It could be depending on who it is. But yeah, it's a different thing altogether. That it's a totally different way. They never learn how to set up their punches the same way because they have to move on their feet. They're going to get taken down.
They got to be watching for kicks and stuff, so they got to have their hands and their arms in different positions. So how they're punching is totally different than how a boxer punches.
Yeah, and their bodies are different too, bending over the way they do it, leaning to the sides. It's totally different.
Yeah, a lot of them, their punches aren't they're not to knock you out because the way they punching them, the angle that they punching them from. Like you said, some of them they're bending over, throwing the punches up. So yeah, it's
from personal experience, I could tell you guys, when I was doing karate, I would mess up a lot of guys because I would when it came down to punching, I'd switch into a different stance and throw a different way, and they didn't know what was coming. Or I'd get a guy to chase me, and then I'd walk them right into a jab, and they wouldn't.
You've watched too much Into the Dragon, my friend.
Into the Dragon, yeah.
You watch too much of it. Wow, Mr. Hand, bullshit, Mr. Handman.
Oh, there we go. Hey,
Oh,
you want
Mr. Wong. Wait. Anyway.
Magsayo and Vargas?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, Vargas and How do you pronounce his name?
Magsayo.
Magsayo.
Yeah, Magsayo.
This is for the WBC title.
Well, I think
last time,
this is
as we all
gonna
know,
be
he beat
Gary
Russell
Russell.
Jr.
Yeah. Well, Vargas is very tall. You know, he's tall for that weight, so it's going to be a different type of punching for Magsayo. You know, he's not as tall as that, so he's going to be punching up. So probably try to break him down into the body, but Vargas has a good record. Vargas has a lot of fights under his belt.
Yeah, he's a tough competitor. I could see Vargas winning this fight.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I could see Vargas winning this fight. I was hoping that we would have got a Vargas versus what's it called, but he lost the belt. Because I think that would have been the next fight set up, Vargas versus Russell, but Russell lost the title. So
Russell didn't fight enough. I mean, what was
that
it?
one time,
2 years?
It was one time a year. It was like once a year, and he just satisfied his mandatory, and that was it.
Yeah, well, you can't be lazy in this business. You got to stay active. But Vargas,
that's the thing, man. He got his brothers and all of that other stuff. That's probably they might make a name for themselves in the ranks that they are. Because I think one is up there in what is it, lightweight or junior lightweight?
Yeah.
This is featherweight. Oh, wait a minute.
I was talking about Russell's brother, the younger Anton Russell.
Yeah, he's bigger. He's bigger, right?
Yeah, I think he's 135 or 140 maybe.
Either 130 or 135.
Yeah. So, but I wouldn't be surprised if they try to set. I mean, Russell should have been fought Tank because they both from the same area, and that would have been a good fight for the time. And Russell's a great boxer. He would have probably outboxed Tank, but Tank is the bigger guy and the stronger guy, so Russell would have had to watch out for the power and the younger guy. So, that would have been a good one. They should have been set that up.
Yeah, Gary Allen Russell, right?
Yeah.
That's who he is. Yeah, let's see. He's in he's light welterweight. Yeah, 140.
140, okay.
Yeah, 140.
Yeah, because I think I've seen him in the rankings. I think I've seen him ranked in the WBA or something like that.
Could be. I'll check it out. I'm going to do ranking here. It doesn't say what is ring rankings here. That's Gary Russell Jr. It's hard to find. It's more information on his Gary Russell ranking here. I don't know. Stats. Let's see what it says here. He's with PBC. No, that's Gary Russell.
I think he's with PBC too. I think the whole family is. They fight on their cards anyway.
Right. I don't know. I can't tell you. I can't find it.
Right. In other news, Virgil Ortiz Jr. will be fighting Michael Mickinson. This is a good fight. On paper, this is a very good fight.
Well, yeah. I mean, Michael Mickinson doesn't have the knockout power, but he
can surprise. He got a surprise win against Chris Congo last time. Obviously, we're expecting Ortiz to win.
Right. Well, he definitely can box. I mean, but he's not the puncher. I mean, he's won everything, via decision. And what's his amateur background? Because I don't know him that well.
Ortiz about to knock McKinson out.
Say that again. Come back.
I said Ortiz about to knock McKinson out.
Okay, but what was McKinson's amateur background?
Nothing special. Nothing special.
Oh boy,
Right, the problem is, right, Mickelson is a good fighter at British European level, whereas Ortiz is more or less world level, isn't it? Or getting towards that one.
Well, Ortiz is very talented and very strong.
They're on different levels. They're in different stages of their career. Ortiz will be fighting for a title within a year or two, and Michael Mickelson is 23. He's getting.
Ortiz turned down the Avanesian fight. I heard.
Well, he shouldn't have done. He shouldn't have done. He would have won that.
Well, you don't know that Avanesian's pretty slick, but Ortiz is 18-0 with 18 knockouts, so he punches. But I think Lucas and Hooker and Vargas were the 3 biggest wins here.
Yeah.
Well, we need to not forget that Avanesian's a former world champion.
Yeah, and so that's why and he's still doing well. So that's why
he beat the great Sugar Shane.
That's right. The great Sugar Shane.
A very ancient Sugar Shane.
He was aged Kane.
That was 6 years ago. That was 7 years ago, guys. That he was world champion. But he's 33. But the thing with Avanesian is that he's getting better, but they're doing his career was backwards. Does that tell you he started off as world champion? Now they're going back down to domestic level. Because his last couple of opponents have all been British level guys who are not even in the top 10 of British fighters,
Wait, who beat him for the title? Was it Matisse?
No, it was somebody else. I can't remember.
I thought it was Matisse, and that's how Pacquiao got that. Peterson. I thought it was okay. It was Peterson.
That beat him, yeah.
Okay, Matisse got the belt after Peterson because that's how Pacquiao got that WBA title.
But Peterson, I believe, vacated the belt.
Because he fought Spence. He vacated the belt when he fought Spence. Yeah, Matisse picked it up, and then Pacquiao beat Matisse.
He beat a guy called Kamawama or some guy from Thailand.
We're talking about Avanesian now?
Yeah, Avanesian, he smashed the hopes of Josh Kelly, I think. Didn't he beat Josh Kelly?
He beat Kremlin Lajara as well.
And he lost to Kavulakis
about 4 years ago.
And Lamont Peterson decisioned him.
Yeah. But then after that, he's after that, he's been on a win streak. After his last
six fights, all by TKO or knockout.
Yeah, and the dude, what's his name, Lajajian? He was the number one ranked guy in the WBA, and he was supposed to be the winner of that fight. Avanesian upset him.
Yeah, TKO'd him
twice,
right? Didn't he beat him in the rematch?
Yeah. He beat him in the first round the first time. Then he beat him in the second fight. The first fight, he beat him in 9 rounds. Second fight, he beat him in 1 round. Then he beat some guy. But all the people he's beaten, Josh Kelly, inexperienced player, Liam Taylor, all these guys are not world level. The people he's beaten, they've all been.
No, I mean, he's a European champion, so he's only going to be fighting them European level guys or below.
But the problem with the EBU, with their matchmaking, do you remember the old WBU titles? It's that kind of matchmaking. They'll have a guy who's world class fighting a guy who couldn't even win a British title. That's what the level of some of the people he's beaten recently.
Yeah, I mean, but sometimes you have some good European. I mean, them championships be some good fights. So I'm not going to say they all like what you describe it, because they are quite a few are like you describe it. But then I've seen some good ones.
But in Britain, people are either very, very good or they're not very good. Do you know what I'm saying? There's no middle ground in England. The fighters are all good. They're either good. You either domestic level or you world level. Yeah, there is no middle in England. You know what I mean? There's not many middle level fighters. Or in America, the poor fighters are about what the middle fighters are in England. And then the elite fighters are similar, and when they're world class fighters, English fighters, not too much of a difference. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's like in America, you don't have much of a domestic heavyweight scene, really, do you? Apart from the top 6 or 7 guys, and then they're all just terrible,
Yeah, the heavyweights, you probably not going to get too many American heavyweights because they're going to choose other sports. You'll get a
Yeah,
lot of the smaller guys because, welterweights, there ain't too many welterweights playing football and basketball. So
nope. Or hockey.
so you'll get the heavyweights going to other sports, but you might not really get the other, smaller weights.
Speaking of heavyweights, I have to compliment you, Nathan. You called the fight right between Dubois and Bryan. You got it right.
When I seen that fight, I was like, Nathan was spot on.
Yeah. I was telling why I was spot on. The only reason I'm not going to take any credit for this is I watched Trevor Bryan's fight against Jonathan Goodry. Did any of you watch that fight?
I did. Now, can I interject here for a second, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
I think I watched 3 of Bryan's fights, and I realized against Dubois, Bryan has a rhythm and that he likes to fight at, and Dubois upset that rhythm. He likes to take things nice and easy and then set a trap and throw a punch. And Dubois was just like on him, over the time. He couldn't deal with the energy level.
I was telling Nathan earlier before you got on that Trevor Bryan's upper body, you could see he was like weaving a little bit, but his footwork didn't match what his upper body was doing, and that's why Dubois was able to keep catch him. I'm like, he would move and duck some of them punches, but then he couldn't duck all of the punches that Dubois was throwing. And
he was in a different, the old saying, styles make fights. Well, this was a great example of it.
Right, this was, I'll give you, with Trevor Bryan, where he goes now is that he keeps going back, he goes back to the level he was fighting at. Well, so he rebuilds himself, goes away, starts living the life like he's supposed to of a boxer. If he lived the life of a boxer, had some more, even if he had rubbish opposition, he's got wins like he did before. At least he needs
to get rid of Don King as the promoter.
Yeah, get rid of Don King, live the life, have 4 or 5 fights. It doesn't matter if he has 4 or 5 fights at the level he was fighting before, just as long as he's active and stays. And the more you're active, the more wins you get, the more your confidence goes up, right?
Yeah, he needs to.
It was also a mental issue. He had more of a sparring partner mentality.
Yeah.
The way he moved and the way he wanted to fight the fight. And he was setting traps. He was trying to set traps, but he couldn't do it. He couldn't get them off fast enough.
He's a former world champion.
Like he was. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Nathan.
But he was in the right place at the right place at the right time to be called a champion. Look, the truth is, he's a European level. He's about Dave Allen's level, in my opinion.
I'd say he's better than Dave Allen, but
not too. It would be like just below Fury level, just below Michael Hunter level.
He was doing good things boxing-wise. I could see it, but his timing, his clock wasn't switching into gear the way it should have switched in this type of a fight. And he was just too laid back. I don't know what the story was. It looked like they were in 2 different universes on 2 different times.
His foot placement.
Even if you went back to a gym and he trained his ass off for another 2-3 years, there's no way he's ever going to get much better than what he is. I think he's at an age now where he hasn't, he's not going to do it. If he was going to do it, he would have got better by now, I just think he's reached that stage where it's too late now.
His foot placement was bad in that fight. Like, his feet was so too close together so much during the fight. I was like, yo, man, this guy, like, like I said, his upper body, he was able to weave a lot of his punches, but he wasn't able to weave all them punches. And when he was able to connect, that was it. He just was down.
Compare when he fought Stavern and the other guy, he had time to set his feet. Dubois didn't give him time to set.
Right. Yeah.
So he was off balance.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. It looked like he kept being off balance. He, like all fight, and I'm like, yeah, he's going to lose this.
At least he can say he's been a world champion. He's not on the level of a Charles Martin. Charles Martin would beat him.
Yeah, they should fight, actually.
Charles Martin is more dedicated. He has more talent than Stiverne has.
Yeah, but they
Pryor.
should still fight Charles Martin versus Trevor Bryan, 2 former world champs.
Well, Big Baby is back. Maybe he could fight Big Baby in Argentina.
Yeah, but Big Baby got to fight in Argentina and Brazil and all the places first.
Before we go to that, I want to talk about the conclusion, right? So this fight reminded me of Charles Martin against Anthony Joshua a little bit.
Oh, okay.
But the difference is these two guys are not on the level of Charles Martin and Joshua at that time. And I do believe that you could not put. I do not believe Dubois beats any of the top 10 fighters right now at all.
Okay.
So for him, his next defense should be someone like Emmanuel
Dubois is a top 10 fighter in the heavyweight division right now.
Well, but he's not. But he hasn't beaten anyone who's top 10 worthy, is what I'm saying. And at the minute, he's still green. He's still wet behind the ears. He's won this belt. Don't let him winning this belt think that he's better than what he is. He's still learning. He's not.
Listen, all he got to do is go defend that one title against them WBA contenders. There's not too many names that he can't beat in the WBA rankings. He can fight Lucas. Like we were just talking about, he can fight Lucas Brown next.
Right. Let me reel off the list. Right, he'll probably fight Lucas Brown or Manuel Charles, but I've got the WBA rankings in front of me. I'm just going to tell you people I don't think he can beat, and I'll pull it up very quickly. So, I've got number 15, Lucas Brown, will probably be his first defense. Creed Scott, who lost. Kevin Lorena, Andy Ruiz Jr. won't fight him. Joseph Parker won't fight him. He can beat Linear Pero. Deontay Wilder's not going to fight him. Then there's a guy called Zon Kasabutsky. Have you seen him fight? He's pretty decent.
Not yet.
Big guy from Kazakhstan.
Nah.
And then there's Arslan Bek Makhmudov, who I don't think he'd beat. And then there's Martin Bakul. He's not going to beat Martin Bakuli. Not right now.
No.
Fury, I don't think he'd beat. Robert Helenius, I could see him beating. But there's only like 3 or 4 names I could see him beating on there. He's going to pick someone like Manu Chara or Lucas Brown. But would that be acceptable to have Lucas Brown as your first defense, do you think?
If he coming off that win of Junior Farr, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That will happen. Because, I can see it's going to happen.
He would have to get him now before Lucas Brown fight again and lose.
Yeah. That would be an acceptable defense only because of that Farr one. And that's the only reason why.
That's it. And it'll be an acceptable voluntary because he's not a man, because he was the mandatory, Dubois was. So he don't have to face a mandatory for about a year. So he could face, Lucas Brown later on this year.
Yeah. I think he should make 2 defenses, 1 defense in September against Char, then another one at Christmas against someone like Manu Char. Have 2 easy defenses, milk the belt for all it's worth, for even 3 defenses. If you can stretch it for another year and a half, have 3 defenses of the title, then he will be ready to fight the winner of, because he's now the official mandatory challenger for the Joshua Usyk fight. Correct?
Right. Yeah, that's right.
But
but they've even talked about him fighting Joe Joyce, which no, stay away from Joe Joyce. He's the guy that nearly ended your career. It don't make any sense.
Yeah, no. That's because Frank Warren ain't got too many damn heavyweights with names, yo. He can't be matching too many.
Don King did. Just pick someone from the bottom of the 15 that you know that your fight is going to
like
be.
you said, I think he's going to pick Lucas Brown. In my opinion, Lucas Brown is a acceptable fight for him right now with Lucas Brown coming on.
What David Haye did when he won the title. Audley Harrison. And Old John, it's no different. They're going to do it the same pattern they did. Then they'll say he's the next best heavyweight. Then he'll fight one of the top guys and they'll lose.
That's possible.
He should pick Yugi Fury if Fury gets in shape again.
Yeah, but I really believe Fury's a better fighter than him. Right, that currently stands.
Yo, Fury's about to fight Michael Hunter, right?
He's pulled out.
Who, Michael Hunter or Fury?
Fury's pulled out 2 days ago.
That's right. I did read that.
Maybe they're hoping he'll get a shot at Brian, you know? I mean, not Brian, Dubois.
Dubois. But that don't match because he's on Sky. Maybe they did that for Joseph Parker rematch. Because Huey Fury's on Boxer. And Joe Parker just signed the Boxer. So
yeah.
I think Parker will win that one.
Of course. I believe Fury is 27, right? His resume is much better than Daniel Dubois. You know, his resume, you know, he's beaten some people who are probably better. One or two people are better than his record, you know. But we forget Daniel Dubois will be in his prime in about another 3 years, right? But I reckon before he peaks his prime, he will lose probably one or two more fights if they don't match him properly.
Well, Parker already beat him, right?
Fury, yeah.
No, they've never fought. He beat him about 3 years ago. Yeah.
That was not a wash. Like it wasn't that Parker just totally demolished Fury. Fury did some work on it. Like, you know, that was a close fight.
Got better. Fury, believe it or not, he's got better. I watched his fights. I watched again, but he's got quite a bit better. He's in the place now where he should have been 3 years ago. No, he's mature.
That would have been a good ass test if he would have fought Michael Hunter, man.
Yeah, well, Michael Hunter's a good test.
I still pick Michael Hunter to win that fight, but on paper,
he's the dark horse in the heavyweight division, as far as I'm concerned.
Michael Hunter,
even though he looked like horse shit in his last fight, I believe he's only one win away from getting a world title. For me, he's the one that should have been in that fight with Trevor Bryan because he earned that title shot years ago.
Yeah,
like
but
4 years ago.
He could get Dubois because he ain't with nobody really. Like he's a floater.
But what I'm saying is he's too dangerous for Dubois. That's why they won't pick him because he's too bloody dangerous.
He ain't gonna pick
him. He'll beat Dubois. You know, look at what this guy's done.
He got to fight somebody because that Fury fight was supposed to be to make him the mandatory or something. I thought, right?
Yeah. But the fact is, we shouldn't need this. They should just pull. If they pull Michael Hunter out as a voluntary, they'll be making the biggest mistake of their lives. Seriously.
Yeah, he should. I don't think he will fight Michael Hunter next.
There was also talk about him fighting the Dillian White.
Oh, it's too dangerous. He's too dangerous.
Who, Dubois?
Dubois, yeah. I think that would be a good match. He
would have to fight him right now after he suffered a devastating loss, and Dubois had a spectacular win. Yeah. So this would be
his defense is terrible. Dillian's quicker on his feet than he is, probably a little bit, but he's unsteady. I believe that because Dubois is slow himself, I believe he would get countered by White. White would level him with something. You know,
I think he's got more. I think he's faster than White, Nathan. At this point, also,
he's
knocked out bad 3 times.
Yeah.
3 times.
But White has an amazing punch, an amazing right hook. If he hits you with that, you're gone.
Yeah, right, and White could get hit. White could get dropped, man. We've seen him.
Yeah. We know his chin's not very good, but Dubois is so basic. The way he moves, he's still learning. But I believe at this stage, White will be just a little bit.
White is no master technician that's going to pick apart. White is about basic too, so
he is, but he's got big wins. And the experience he's got, he possesses.
Yeah, but
elite fighters.
I think Daniel is fresher. I think he's faster, and once it goes into the 6th round or so, then White starts the gas.
Yeah, but Dubois doesn't have a boxing brain that much. It hasn't developed properly yet. His boxing brain hasn't fully developed yet.
That might be the only one thing that White got on
his experience and the boxing brain that he's had time to develop.
Maybe in the ring, but
he also has 3 bad knockouts on him.
But they still have to be careful how they match Dubois. He could fight some, one bad, you know what I'm saying? They have to be very careful who they put him in there for the next year.
He's at the top of the list now, so, he's got to fight his mandatories.
Yeah, but we've seen people masquerade with this silly regular belt for years. I believe they're going to take it easy for a year. 2 easy defenses.
It'd be crazy if he fight Lucas Brown, right? And Lucas Brown beat him and retain the WBA.
That would be hilarious. You know what? That wouldn't shock me. That would be hilarious, wouldn't it?
It's possible. That's the thing. It's possible.
Yeah,
but
man.
Would you want to pick someone as dangerous as Lucas Brown, even though he's shot? If he hits Dubois with that, it's good night. We could see another upset, you know.
Yeah. No, his power is crazy. So if he does catch him, it is. You know,
do you think they would risk it? I'm not sure they would risk it. You know.
Yeah,
they'll probably go for many times.
That ain't too much of a risk. The only thing you would have to watch out for is getting knocked out, and that's what you got to watch out for every heavyweight. So
that's what every boxer has to watch out for.
We've seen miracles do happen. I remember watching George Foreman against a young Michael Moorer, and he knocked him out of nowhere. Moorer got hit in the head, got punched, and it's like, what? I watched it, I laughed. How was he knocked out? He didn't do anything. It was only one silly punch. It's like not like he was trying, is it? He was just trying that right hand all night.
That's how what's it called? Listen, I think what's it called? To me, what's it called? Punches like that, Joe Joyce. Like you see the way he punches. It's like, how did he get knocked out? That looked like them jabs be thudding like boom. So the jabs, it's like just like.
I'll demonstrate how Joe Joyce fights. He's like a robot.
Yeah, man. But
make the camera beats like that. He walks forward like that, like a clubber, like like a machine.
No, that's how what's it called there, George Foreman. That's how Muhammad Ali described George Foreman up here.
Anyone who goes like that, crazy. What the hell is that? Eerie, man.
Well, all that matters is let's go back to that Michael Moorer fight. It was the first right hand he landed that put him out, Michael Moorer said. He said that first right hand, he couldn't see anything anymore. The second right hand put him down. But there was the first right hand he caught
knocked him
out, you know?
His legs just didn't drop.
If you watch that, you see his arms drop, and he takes a step back, and then Foreman steps in with the jab, and boom, the right hand, and then that was it.
The funniest knockout I've ever seen. I remember watching the highlights of 20 years ago. The highlights of Vladimir Klitschko against Corey Sanders. And I remember watching the fight, and my face was like this. It was like I was watching it. So I was watching the fight, and Klitschko goes down. He's like a scared little rabbit, and then he gets him again like that.
Yeah,
well, Corey Sanders was a vicious puncher.
Oh, he was, yeah. But he didn't take boxing seriously. He didn't take it seriously. He did a lot of golfing. You know, golf was his true love. Yeah,
but that first left hand he caught him with opened up a big gash over his left eye.
But I mean, Sanders was like a 40-year-old. What was he? About 40 at that time, you know. Well, and he was past it. You know, he was really past it. But he still put on a good fight.
Here's a good segue to the next topic. None of these fighters ever took a bite out of another fighter.
Only one.
Yeah. Edgar Berlanga decided to eat something during the middle of his fight.
Oh, God.
With Angulo. I mean, what is going on with these guys? I mean, I understand you could get very animalistic, but somebody should feed these guys before they get in the ring.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Word. Listen, it's Berlanga, man. I don't know how far he's going to go.
I don't think he's going to go very far. I think he's too emotional. I think he's a good puncher, but his boxing leaves enough to be desired. He takes too many head punches.
He's about to be the Curtis Stevens of the super middleweight.
Yeah, probably. You know, we'll see what happens with him, but I'm not hot on him. You know,
because once you get him past the third or fourth round, when he's not that much of the threat of knocking you out, then it's like, okay, I could outwork you.
Definitely.
So you're looking for the knockout, and I could outwork you. You just keep looking for the knockout. You're not trying to fall. You're not. I mean, he tried to fall back on boxing a little bit, but you know he was still trying to and Angulo was frustrating him by the way he was fighting.
Yeah.
That's why he bit him. He's like I couldn't knock him out or fight him.
No reason, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, to do that. I
That's silly,
understand why
man.
Tyson did what he did because he was getting fouled like crazy. You know, in both of his fights with Evander. You know, so
that was his excuse. He said Evander kept headbutting him, and the ref wasn't going to say nothing, and so that's what he said. I'm gonna handle it myself, and he took the mouthpiece out and bit him. I was at a fight party when that fight happened. I was cracking up.
Yeah, that's pretty wild, right?
Like, oh man, did he just bite him? And then he did it again.
I know. But,
He's like, oh, just in case y'all didn't know what I was doing.
But in all honesty, Evander was he was a foul artist.
Oh, Evander is like the heavyweight Bernard Hopkins.
Yeah, really.
Like, he do that little dirty veteran tactics, as you would say. Like, he would definitely headbutt you, rub his bald head up against your face and all of this when you're in a clinch.
That's right. Yeah. So I don't, you know, this guy, he just tainted himself. I think he's got too many distractions, you know, with the girlfriend and you know, is it his dad who trains him? Yeah,
I think so. His stardom shot up too fast and he wasn't ready for it.
Yeah. And, you know, that's the way some of these guys get. You know, they think they can knock everybody out and they can't.
You know, it was Puerto Rican Day weekend. So, you know, he was getting all the love in New York and all of that. So
let's discuss Mr. Ortiz, who passed away, Puerto Rican boxer.
Yeah, Mr. Carlos Ortiz. I remember him from when I was a kid. He was a strong fighter. He lost. I forget who he lost to before he retired. I had it right here, but he lived a pretty good life, you know.
What would you say his best, the most memorable fight of his was?
Let's see, Carlos. Let me look up his record because he was 61-7-1, and Kent Buchanan. He put up a good fight, you know, for some of that. I mean, Kent Buchanan was a great fighter. Duran never rematched with him. Do you realize that?
Yeah. They
never rematched. They wanted to stay away from him because Duran beat him by hitting him really low, and the referee didn't call it. It was bad. Yeah. You know, but Carlos Ortiz, you know, coming up during that time, he fought some tough guys. If you look at his record, Ismael Laguna defeated him, but it was by majority decision. And Laguna was a great fighter.
Yeah.
You know, he fought Dulilio Loy, and that guy was a great fighter. He lost unanimous decision to him twice. You know, Kenny Lane decision. He was never really like taken out. He lost all of his fights by decision. So
he was never knocked out.
No. And then, you know, he fought Kenny Lane again, and at that time at the Garden, he won the 140-pound light welterweight. He came back and defeated him. I think he had a defeat with him earlier. So he fought some really tough guys. Those guys back then in the 50s and 40s, they just fought all the time. So he took on everybody. And Ismael Laguna was a very talented fighter at that time. I think Duran eventually fought him and knocked him out. And Teo Cruz, that was another one for the world light title. He was knocked down in the first round, but got up and, you know, finished 15 rounds. So he left, you know, he had a good record overall. It was, you know, back then it didn't matter if you lost fights. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, especially during those days. If you was in good wars, that's all that mattered. We should get a sound effects for when we do honor the people that pass, like a bell toll or whatever they be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we should. That'd be easy to find.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'll see if I can find one this week. But God rest his soul, rest in peace. And you wanna wrap this up with Munguia and Kelly?
Yeah.
So I'll take first, since I started this thing off, and then I'll be quiet. I am just not excited about Munguia for some reason. I'm worried about him at 160 with the real sharpshooters. This guy was able to connect. If this guy had more power, he would have.
This guy is
Wait,
a 154
let me finish first. If this guy had more power, and he had previously he had lost 3 fights, this guy made Munguia, look vulnerable at times. But Munguia's stamina and power got him through this. So that's my opinion. I don't know how he's going to do against Charlo if he ever gets up there, or any of the top, 3 middleweights, or any of those guys that are, or Andrade, or any of those guys up there, GGG or whoever. I don't know how we'll do against them. So over to you.
Jimmy Kilrain Kelly was a man who was Liam Smith's first world title defense. And he's actually a 154 pounder, not a 165. And he's only like a British level fighter. He's not a world leveler by any stretch.
Well, that's my point. He's not looking good at, going up. I mean, he's getting hit too much.
I think his hype has been exposed. They're just following the bandwagon of Canelo. That's what his career was based on. Get a world title against an easy guy, try and copy the blueprint of Canelo, and it's clearly not working.
His hype came because at 154, he was overpowering all those. He was much bigger than a lot of those guys, and he was overpowering the guys he was fighting at 154. He came up to 160. That was all of the guys was his size or maybe bigger, and just as strong as him. He's not. Yeah, like Tom said, Kelly was outworking him. If Kelly had power, that would have been a totally different fight.
Would have busted him up.
Yeah, like he better stay. Like I could see why they're not rushing to get him an Andrade fight, because Andrade's not really bringing in any money for anybody to risk the even though you would think him being the Mexican fighter and him drawing in that fan base that he's going to be the money guy. Andrade would probably fight him for some 50-50 split or something as a champ. Like he wouldn't like try to be greedy with the money, because I think Andrade wants a fight, a name fight, so that his people could start taking notice. But Munguia, he's not ready. He can't beat Charlo. He can't beat Andrade. He probably can't beat. He can't beat Triple G.
Yeah, he wanted Triple G, but
he can't beat Laura. So he can't beat none of the guys holding titles at 160.
Well, we'll see what happens there. I think this 40-0 record is padded.
Yeah, because you got to think he was supposed to be the mandatory when he moved up. As the WBO champ, he automatically get a shot at the WBO title at 160. But he declined it, and he decided he was going to fight. What's this? His 3rd fight at middleweight? 4th fight at middleweight?
Yeah.
And none of them are moving the needle or anything. He fought Rosado. That's not a bad name, but
Rosado's tough. But Jaime has a great stamina and a good work rate. It's just when he goes up against somebody who's got a boxing IQ and has power, it's going to be a rough night for him.
Yeah, that's why he ain't accept that Charlo fight. Oscar talking about they want to do a split broadcast. Like Charlo ain't that big. It's like Showtime want to split money with the Zone off of Charlo? Like, come on, what's that? Like $100,000 they gonna make?
Yeah, really. I mean, as he's moved up in weight, he's got less KOs too.
Yeah, because he stopped Kelly, but Kelly was, like Nathan said, really a 154 guy.
Yeah, but before that, I think it was Saddam Ali and then Brandon Cook was the last guy. I think and then Gary O'Sullivan, he took him out in the 11th. But he's not that like dangerous, very dangerous puncher as some of these guys.
I mean, what was he, 23? He's not even old.
No, he's young. He's 25.
So he will get better. I mean, I think what will happen next is he'll fight for the WBO belt. But it'll just be, has Andre moved up yet or not?
He better stay away from Janabek. Better stay away from Janabek.
Yeah, that's true too. No, he's coming up strong.
If I'm a matchmaker and I'm bringing a prospect or somebody I want to champion, I'll keep them away from certain Eastern European country fighters and certain Mexicans. Continue on anyway.
Yeah, but I don't think Munguia. I think Munguia, if he does beat Janabek, it's going to be a tough fight for him to win. So I don't think they would want to do that. And Janabek, he's bringing in even less money than Andrade would bring in. So,
well, that's true. But isn't Janabek another southpaw?
Was he a southpaw?
I think he is.
I think he is.
I think if we're thinking, what's his first name?
I thought Janabek was his first name. His last name is Alahumadi, something like that. He's the WBO mandatory. He just fought like 2 weeks ago or something.
Yeah, and he knocked the guy out, right?
Right.
Yeah, I remember him. He's very strong.
Yeah. That's what I said. I don't think they want Munguia to fight him.
Well, if I was handling Munguia, I wouldn't want him to fight him either.
And that's the other, like in the middle, like he could maybe grab one of them other names, like did he fight Selecki? He could fight like a Selecki or Arias or something like that. I would love to see him fight Jared Hurd. That would be a good one.
Well, Jared Hurd emotionally has been up and down, and he hasn't been in. His head hasn't been in it.
Jared Hurd?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing, man. He got to get his head back together. I guess, I mean, can't fault him because in my opinion, he wasn't supposed to be the guy that won them fights. He surprisingly became the champ because who he was matched up with was the favorite. The first, was it Harrison that he beat, that he won the first title against? Because Harrison was beating him. And then, but his work rate, Harrison, for whatever reason, especially at that time, he couldn't last past 9 rounds. So, he would win the first 8 rounds and then lose because he gets stopped in the ninth.
Crazy.
But
I mean, Zanabek Alimana Kahani, Kanuli or something.
Yeah.
There was one other thing I wanted to read. Did anybody watch Hemi, the Australian heavyweight fight on Wednesday against Jonathan Goodall?
Nah.
I think I did. Yeah. Didn't I post a video? I forgot. Yeah,
I watched it, and I'll tell you what, Hemi, I'm not impressed with him at all. He's not going anywhere in this division.
Yeah. Well,
the problem with these Australasian, with the Pacific region, there's not many talented heavyweights in that division. They're few and far between.
And it's hard. You would probably think it would be hard to find good sparring because people ain't trying to travel down there to go spar. Not good. The local guys might not be up to par well enough to help prepare you for the world stage.
I'll put it as bluntly as I can. They've got guys who are like these ex-Ireland football, these ex-rugby players,
right?
Turning boxers, and they got no talent. Then you've got these guys, these Western Samoan guys, who only they're not even British level. They're terrible. Some of these guys that they get in there, like some of these Islanders, Western Samoans, Tongans, and they don't look like fighters. It's embarrassing. That's such a big reach.
Yeah. Well, I'm personally looking forward to Butterbean coming back.
Apparently, he's dropped about 130 pounds.
So he ain't really a Butterbean no more.
Hey, Did you guys watch that Tyson Fury thing from what's his name? The Late Show, where not Tyson Fury, Mike Tyson, where they were asking people about him, and Butterbean was there, and he was in the back, and he comes out. They were asking him questions about Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
And then Mike Tyson walks out, and then Butterbean is actually in that video.
Video. I mean, Butterbean, for a big guy who was very athletic, I tell you what, he could punch. He gave Larry Holmes
the 4-rounders, right?
Yeah, I mean, he gave. Do you remember when he fought Larry Holmes at the 10 round? And Larry Holmes was 50 at the time. You know, was clinging for dear life at some point.
Well, you know, the guy can punch. I mean, he was a huge puncher. I mean, a lot of weight. He knew how to punch. For a guy that fat and big, he could move those hands, and they were fast hands.
Yeah.
Why did he never go in the pro ranks, or would he have not got with the athletic commissions and not have sanctioned him?
Well, he could have if he wanted to, but he you know, he had that tough man niche, that 4-round niche, and that's what he did.
He was a champion. You know, he won the world title in that. I mean, you know, or whatever. So
yeah, but
you know, I'm happy to see him coming back just for the hell of it. I mean, maybe him and Mike Tyson would be a good. I don't even think Mike Tyson wants to fight anymore.
Mike Tyson, speaking of good segue, Mike Tyson said that Jake Paul better come up with the money this year. He'll fight him if it's this year, but if after this year, he won't fight him.
Well, we know what'll happen if Mike trains and he gets in the ring with Jake Paul. One shot to the liver, it's over.
It's over. Mike Tyson got boxing IQ.
Yeah, he'll just go right at him, and you know, unless I mean, if Paul gets cute, that you know it's going to be a problem, right?
Yeah.
If he gets cute with them, that's going to be a problem. So hopefully soon, though, we can see Charlo and Sue in the ring. That should be a good one.
Yeah, but the IBF guy is trying to push the issue, so
he's trying to push the money, you know.
But he had already took. I didn't even realize this. He had took 2 step-asides already to let the Castano fight happen twice.
That's right. That's right.
He was supposed to fight Charlo before they fought, and then they drew. Then you know they had to have the rematch. But Tim Tszyu was saying I had let Castano fight Charlo too the second time because I was his mandatory once they drew. Well, I was mandatory once they drew. So, well,
you know, in the middle of all of this, Eubank has got to fight somebody, and he's in a bad position right now about who he can fight.
There's talk of him fighting some guy from one of those stand countries, and you know, for a vacant belt, for a regular belt.
What belt? What regular belt?
One of the WBA regular belts is meant to become a vacancy.
But I'm saying, at what weight? That's what I'm trying to ask.
Middleweight. Be middleweight, they say.
That's Laura's belt. Laura ain't got.
He's not a middleweight. Laura's not a middleweight, really.
Well,
Laura got the middleweight title, though, is what I'm saying. When he beat Gary O'Sullivan, that was for the. I mean, he was already the champ, but you know, he's the champ at middleweight. He's the WBA world.
He's the champion.
He's Triple G's mandatory.
Well, you know, what they're talking about right now, since Kell Brook retired, the only guys are like Janabek or Demetrius Andrade. I mean, this is it for him. Where's he going from here?
Who, Eubank?
Yeah.
Well, okay.
They wanted to fight a washed-up Kell Brook. I mean, come on.
No. I was going to say Eubank could actually fight Jaime Munguia.
That would be
but they're not going to take that fight. Too dangerous.
But I think he would lose.
Who?
I think what happened is Ben Shalom is in his ear of, you know, what they're going to do is they're going to wait for a vacant belt against a guy who's not top 10. That's the way they're going to win the World Cup.
You know what this tells me is that he doesn't think he could beat these guys. I mean, if he's just looking to float around for money, you know, he could probably, but he wanted to fight, what's his name, Conor Benn, you know, at a catch weight, and he wanted to fight Kell Brook. I mean, the time is up for him. He's got to step up and fight. I mean, Billy Joe Saunders outboxed his ears off, right?
Yeah.
So he's got to fight somebody here who, he's got to fight somebody in the ring.
The truth is, Eddie Hearn had the power to make him fight an easy world title for a but he had numerous opportunities to fight for vacant belts against average fighters.
I thought he was with Eddie Hearn. I thought he was with somebody else.
No, he's with somebody else I was saying in the past. So now he's with Saddle and boxing. So,
he's becoming, kind of not a player anymore unless he fights somebody.
Yeah, he's definitely losing his value.
That's right. But on another note, let's keep an eye on Jalalov, who was the gold medalist. He's big, he's southpaw, he's strong.
The heavyweight that fought on Friday.
Yeah, he was the gold medalist in the Olympics, and he's going to be somebody to deal with. He's big, he's strong.
He's a southpaw, right?
He's a southpaw too. So
right, guys, I'm going to wrap up now. It's been an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, that Jalalov guy is good. Yeah.
Anyway, we didn't talk about that, did we? Yeah, the Jalalov.
Yeah.
Well, we just did.
There was another. What was I want to bring up? Tyson Fury apparently has been banned from America because of his links to Daniel Kinahan.
Well, do they have evidence of something? I mean,
no, I don't know.
Well, how could they ban him? That's ridiculous.
America don't do that. It's England that do that. It's the UK.
Anyway, guys,
you can come with it now. You can't leave.
So he had a couple of beers with them at the pub. Big deal.
Yeah. Right, guys, we're going to pack up now. We'll be back next week. Thank you for joining me on the podcast as usual, and thank you people for listening. We'll be back next week.
All right, take care.